number 3, 14292BC, and item number 4, 28913BC, 473-541 6th Street, Brooklyn.
Let's see, I guess we can see it. Great. Good morning. My name is Elise Wagner. I'm a member of the firm of Kramer, Levin, Naftalis, and Franco. I'm here today on behalf of Methodist Hospital, and we're here to discuss modifications to the design of the Methodist Hospital Center for Community Health, an ambulatory care center for which the board granted a variance in July 2014. As you know, the variance was granted to satisfy the hospital's programmatic need for adequate and appropriate space for ambulatory care facilities located on the hospital's main campus in Park Slope, Brooklyn. And the blue on the slide is the new Center for Community Health, which is between 5th and 6th Streets, 7th and 8th Avenues in Brooklyn. At the time the variance was granted, the board also approved an amendment to a special permit affecting the below-grade parking garage to the west of the proposed center. We are proposing to revise the drawings approved with that special permit only to conform them to the drawings related to the variance. I'm joined today by representatives of New York Methodist Hospital, also by representatives of New York Presbyterian Hospital, with which Methodist is affiliated, and also the hospital's architect. Before representatives of Methodist and the architects come up to speak, there are a few things I'd like to emphasize. Methodist Hospital, like any nonprofit, must attempt to satisfy its programmatic needs in the context of physical location, applicable laws, and financial considerations. The application for the approved variance represented a snapshot in time of the hospital's programmatic needs. Those needs are fluid, and the details may change over time. The hospital's basic programmatic needs, as reflected in the approved plans, have not changed. The hospital still has a need for adequate space for outpatient care facilities on its main campus in locations that allow for efficient adjacencies between programs. Several months after the variance was granted, a lawsuit was brought against the city and the hospital. The hospital wanted to settle the lawsuit rather than proceed with lengthy and expensive legal proceedings, but only if it was able to undertake all of the programs accommodated by the approved design. The litigants asked if a floor could be removed from the building. The hospital studied the building program carefully and asked its architects to develop the design a bit in order to find further efficiencies. The hospital then determined that its programmatic needs could be satisfied without the building's top floor, which was smaller and less efficient than the building's other floors. That change, along with a number of other minor changes, were memorialized in a settlement agreement that was approved by the court. At the same time, New York Presbyterian Hospital asked Methodist to perform a due diligence review of the physical and financial parameters of the project. That review concluded that the hospital's programmatic needs, as expressed in the original variance, could be satisfied by the revised building design, with some further changes to reflect normal design development. That is the design that is before you today. In addition, I would note that the proposed modifications do not require any new zoning waivers or an increase in the degree of any previously granted waivers. I'd now like to ask Lauren Yedvab, Senior Vice President of the hospital, to describe what has happened since the variance was granted.
Good morning. I'm Lauren Yedvab. I'm the Senior Vice President at New York Methodist Hospital. As Elise already stated, the hospital's programmatic needs have not changed. We need the same types of outpatient facilities to meet the same projected patient demands. However, time has passed, and several things have happened during that time. First, a group of residents living in close proximity to the hospital, known as Preserve Park Slope, brought a lawsuit to challenge the grant of the variance. The lawsuit was settled in January of 2015, approximately 6 months after the grant of the variance. The settlement requires that the center must be reduced in height by 1 story, as well as a number of other changes. Second, we have undertaken an extensive due diligence and financial feasibility analysis of the project with our affiliate, New York Presbyterian, to ensure that what we are proposing can actually be implemented. We have reviewed the design with our architects and engineers to assure that our building is operationally efficient and functional for our doctors, our staff, and our patients. Third, the passage of time has created new operational pressures on some of the hospital's existing facilities. Because of timing issues, 2 facilities are not going to be relocated into the new building as previously presented. Radiation oncology will actually remain in the current location in the main hospital because of its equipment replacement cycle that will end before the center is operational. The second program is the Hyperbaric and Wound Care Center, which will be relocated from 1 Prospect Park West to the main hospital because the lease of its existing space will actually expire before the center will be operational. These facilities will occupy spaces in the main hospital that are comparable in size to what was originally proposed in the center, and they will be accessible from 6th Street, directly across the street from the Center for Community Health. I now would like to introduce Frank Gunther, who is our architect from Perkins Eastman, who will describe the proposed design modifications.
Can you just stay on this one subject of the not relocated oncology and hyperbaric? So, in the normal use of those 2 facilities, what's the connection, what's the sort of procedural connection between those 2 facilities and what goes on in the rest of the ambulatory care center?
Well, there is a cancer center in the Center for Community Health, which includes a faculty practice for hematology oncology, as well as an infusion center for chemotherapy. Radiation oncology is complementary to those services, but not necessarily taking place on the same day or the same visit. However, the physicians will be co-located so that radiation oncologists will be available and will participate in team meetings and consultation to facilitate that collaborative approach with our oncologists, surgeons, as well as medical oncologists in the Center for Community Health to see the patients.
So then how does a patient who maybe is going to both, to radiation and to something else, to, I don't know, to another function that's across the street, how do they do
Well,
that?
they don't go on the same day.
They won't go on the same day.
No. So a patient that's receiving radiation oncology does not get chemotherapy on the same day. Generally speaking, they do one and then the other, or they do a combination, but never on the same day. And it is 250 feet from one entrance to the other.
But do they walk across the street, or is there an underground connection?
There is no underground connection for pedestrians, but the patient would either be delivered directly to the hospital for radiation oncology or directly to the Center for Community Health.
And the doctor who's managing that care is located where?
The radiation oncologist will be located at the hospital, and the medical oncologists and surgical oncologists will be located across the street in the Center for Community Health.
So the patient's directed to go directly to radiation oncology on that visit, or also has to go to check in at the...
Oh, no, they would go direct. If the patient will meet the oncologist or the radiation oncologist in the Center for Community Health, and once they are programmed or scheduled for radiation oncology, they will go directly to radiation oncology, where the physician will be there to see them at that point.
So on a different day. And then what's the current use of those 2 spaces in the hospital building?
It's currently occupied by radiation oncology now. We've already replaced one of the linear accelerators in the past year, and we will likely replace a second linear accelerator and treatment planning system before the center is built.
And what about hyperbaric?
Hyperbaric currently is occupying space at 1 Prospect Park West, where a lease will be up. It will be relocated to space adjacent to radiation oncology that is currently used by pharmacy administration and has actually been relocated during another project for the hospital.
So it's empty space?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Good
everybody. My name is Frank Gunther. I'm a partner of Perkins Eastman Architects, and I've been working on this project since the beginning. We have incorporated design refinements that comply with the settlement of the litigation and continue to satisfy the hospital's problematic needs. The building provides an optimal efficiency of care delivery, mechanical electrical operations, while also maximizing space utilization. The building envelope is essentially the same as originally presented. The interior layouts contain the same basic elements with a few exceptions, which I will describe today. Just to give you an overview of the modifications, we're going to show you what we had originally proposed and what we're proposing today. This is the previous approval, and the next slide is what we're proposing today. We might flip back and forth so you can see the differences between the two, but I'll describe what they are. We eliminated the 7th floor from the top of the building, so the building is lower by that dimension. We introduced a change on the 8th Avenue facade to take away an entrance that was there previously at the request of the community and replace it with a planter and make what had been an entrance simply an exit facing onto 6th Street. I'm sorry. Just to orient you, 8th Avenue is going to the right and 6th Street is here. You have to go to my left shoulder. We reduced the floor-to-floor heights in 4 of the floors by about 6 inches as a result of coordination of mechanical and structural drawings. It created efficiency was achieved through the design development of the project and allows the height of the building to drop by a total of 24 inches in that.
Can you just stay there for a second?
Sure.
How are you able to reduce the floors by 6 inches?
Between the time we submitted the drawings originally in 2014 and today, we've developed the design a little bit further, and we've, through the use of BIM and other Revit techniques, we've been able to affect an efficiency of structural depth. So the beams that are crossed by major trunk ducts have been reduced in height, and that provides the ability to lower the floor-to-floor height.
You actually made changes to the depth of the beams.
By 6 inches on 4 floors.
And so not mechanical systems, but to
No.
the beams. So what are the beams now? You know? The depth of the beams now?
Well, they vary, depends upon where they might be.
Okay.
And they would go to 18 inches from 24 inches, or from 30 inches to 24 inches, depending on where it would be.
And another question, I always hear about hospitals needing the height because as technology changes, more height seems to be what's needed and less height. How does this fit in with the future?
We feel we're very comfortable with the floor-to-floor heights that we have within the building. They're 15 foot 6 inches on the floors where the patient care are, and that is adequate distribution of MEP services. We have a regular grid that also works well with that, and the location of the risers for mechanical distribution is central, so the lengths of runs are not all that long.
By reducing the depth of the structure, has this increased the cost of the project?
It's cost neutral.
Cost neutral.
Another modification that we'll see in the later drawing is that the truck dock, which we had shown on the access from 5th Street, we reduced the height of that portion of the building, and I'll show you that when I look at the elevations with you. We achieved a reduction in height by removing a boiler plant that was going to be used for this building, substituted with a connection through a utility pipe tunnel under 6th Street to utilize the boiler plant within the hospital itself. And so the height of the truck dock component reduced. In 2014, there was a building code that mandated seismic separations between buildings on lot lines, and so we pulled that back a little bit from adjacent structures as well. Commensurate with the reduction of the floor area and taking the 7th floor off the building, we've been able to reduce the number of required parking spaces from 350 to 318, and as a result, we've eliminated the -3 level of parking which is beneath the building. Proposed building design, which you see on the screen here, has been approved by the Design Review Committee in Park Slope, which includes representatives of Community Board 6, the Park Slope Civic Council, and the Preserve Park Slope group as well. I'm now going to show you a little more detail each facade of the building to show you what we had proposed originally and what we're proposing now, and to show you essentially the building is very much the same. So beginning with the south elevation, which is on 6th Street, opposite the hospital building proper, we've eliminated the 7th floor, so you can see the lower image, the building's a little bit lower by that, and we've reduced the size of the penthouse commensurate with the reduction area in the building. We have not changed the main entrance, we have not changed the building massing components, nor have we changed the building facade materials, but we have refined the detail. You'll see a little more detail around the window elements of the building. The next view is the north elevation, which is facing toward 5th Street, and the original image is on the top and the proposed changes below. Again, the 7th floor illumination and the mechanical penthouse reduction is shown here. The building massing components have remained the same. We have refined the detailing of the facade, including the material change at the top level of the highest floor in this building, and we reduced the height of the truck dock component on the end of the building. Looking now at the east elevation, which faces 8th Avenue and the residents across the street, we've increased the setback on the side of the 6th floor facing toward 5th Street, which is a direct request of the neighbors. We've eliminated the 7th floor and reduced the penthouse as I described previously. And we further refined facade detailing and modified the topmost floor to precast through metal cladding. The last elevation, which is the west elevation, which faces toward 7th Avenue. Again, the 7th floor has been deleted. The building massing components, however, remain the same. We further refined the facade detailing, and you can see the truck dock has reduced in height by the deletion of the boiler room that was above it. Retaining certain programs within the main hospital, rather than relocating to the new building, causes a domino effect in the location of programmatic elements. And this is something that Parkinson's been spending a lot of time working with New York Methodist to achieve and to reflect the deletion of radiation oncology in the hyperbaric wound care that was described by Ms. Yedvan. Programs have been relocated within the building in a way that focuses on maintaining proper adjacencies, proper collection of programmatic elements in proximity to others when a patient may move within a building. And I'll make this drawing as simple as I can to describe the major components. Looking from the bottom up.
You can take the mic with you and point with it, please.
That's easy. Okay, I'm going to go from the bottom up. In the parking, we've eliminated one level of parking commensurate with the reduction in need. In the cellar area, we've taken out radiation oncology, and we've substituted special procedures that had moved from the 2nd floor of the building. This is a standalone function which works very well with GI spaces which are in that space as well. The 1st floor has no change other than the title and the pre-admission testing and urgent care functions, but it's essentially the same plan. The 2nd floor, we've relocated special procedures to the cellar and we substituted cardiology, allowing us to have the entire footprint of the east side of the building for a combined total program.
Because cardiology didn't have the full footprint before?
It did before, but the adjacency is closer here. It's directly above imaging, which is below it, so we thought it was a better place, a better adjacency, correct. The 3rd floor has no change, and that remains as I had shown before, with surgery and preparation for that. The 4th floor, where we took out the hyperbaric chambers, we substituted orthopedics, giving it an entire east wing of the building. Orthopedics moved from the 5th floor, and on the 5th floor we substituted women's health, as you can see here. The 6th floor is the cancer center, which had been dispersed on the 7th and 6th floor, but we were able to combine them into a more efficient plan with the same program, but have an entire cancer complex on the same floor, which is a very important element to the operation of that
So on that one,
program.
you were on 2 floors before. Was that a shared floor with anything else?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So what did it share? I don't see 6 listed again on that list.
The seventh floor was a smaller floor, so we moved the women's health from the sixth floor, moved down to a lower floor, to the fifth floor, and the cancer center was dispersed in an inefficient way on 2 floors. So we took away a floor, so we put the whole cancer on 1 floor.
So, in terms, what kind of activities go on in the cancer center? Is that where you're actually getting infusion, or that's patient?
There were two activities that occur on the sixth floor. On the west half of the building is infusion. You come for chemotherapy. You come in and you have that therapy and you leave. On the east end of the floor are areas for doctors' offices and practice. You may come on a different visit, or you may go back and forth for consultation with your doctor on the same day as your chemotherapy.
Okay, so then,
So that's a very good mixture. The doctors are close, both buildings, and the patients can go back and forth between the two.
so in terms of the number of infusion rooms and the number of doctors' offices have...
Has not changed.
No change. So in fact, keeping it off 2 floors, you eliminate circulation
It's much better.
that you get.
Correct, it's a more efficient plan. So the reallocation of space does not impact functional adjacencies within the building, as I've described. In fact, it improves them. The surgical suite, central sterile supplies, and patient preparation and recovery facilities are still located in the west wing of the building, stacked on 3 floors as they had been before, and they're served by dedicated elevators, and it works in a very efficient way. The building's large floor plates allow each institute to be accommodated on a single floor, as I've just described. And with the cancer center, that's the biggest change of an improvement to the program. So we believe that these changes allow the building to be redesigned, removing the uppermost story, which had an inefficient floor plate, but resulting in a better building.
One last question, similar subject. You had operatories. Do you still have the same number of
Yes.
operatories and recovery rooms?
No change.
Et cetera?
No change at all.
So that's the main question. The room count for each of the functions
Has remained the same.
remains the same. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
So in conclusion, the proposed modifications do not affect the findings required for the grant of the variance. First, no new waivers are needed for the proposed design, and most of the existing waivers would be reduced. Second, the hospital's programmatic needs have not changed. However, with the passage of time, the best means of satisfying those needs changed to some extent. The architects have made design refinements to improve the efficiency of the building so that the building's height can be reduced with only minimal compromise and some improvements as we just discussed. Third, the building massing is appropriate to the surrounding neighborhood, and as mentioned, the design review committee composed of local representatives has approved the design. Finally, the hospital's proposal continues to represent the minimum variance necessary, since the changes consist of the reallocation of space and design refinements and do not change the programmatic scope of the variance as granted. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Biden? No? Okay. Are there any speakers on this? Anybody from the public want to speak on this? No? Okay. So is everyone okay with what we're seeing? Okay. So thank you very much for the presentation. It clarified a lot of things that were not in the papers. So I would like to make a motion to close.
Chair Perlmutter? Aye. Vice Chair Hinkson? Aye. Commissioner Montanez? Aye. Commissioner Brown? Aye. Commissioner Chandler?
Aye. And in the interest of timing for the hospital, I'd like to make a motion to grant.
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson? Aye. Commissioner Montanez? Aye. Commissioner Brown? Aye. Commissioner Chandler?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
So, That's what she needs to know. Thank you. Okay, item number 5, 5795A through 59.